to Smash Writing. I'm Paul. This is Justin, and today we are pumped. Why are we pumped? Because after a long, brutal time of reviewing these Bond films, we had some bright moments, and then they just got washed away. We are back now in the Timothy Dalton era of James Bond. A Living Daylights, which came out in 1987, starring Timothy Dalton. We'll get into talking about this because this is an exciting time because it was a long stretch to get here. A lot of painful memories, a lot of nights of not watching. Justin, give the plot.
Alright, this movie opens up with a training mission that goes south when an assassin shows up, takes out two of the agents, and tries to escape from Bond. Bond tries to chase him down, but it ends with the car going over the edge and blowing up. Bond lands on this raft with a woman who's looking for a real man.
Yeah.
So while they have intimacy time, we go to the intro. And we pick up in Czechoslovakia, Bond meeting up with a contact named Saunders. And they're there for Kozlov. He's defecting, and it's their job to protect him from the Soviet sniper that plans on taking him out before he can defect. As it turns out, their sniper ends up being the cello player that Bond was looking at earlier. And he's supposed to eliminate her, but instead shoots the gun and shoots her arm, which lets her live, and they have to escape out of the country now with Kozlov, which they do by shoving him into the pipeline and sending him through the pipeline.
Yeah.
And it all goes great. He gets on the jet on the other side, and they fly him off to Austria. Or they get him to Austria, and then fly him off on a jet. Saunders questions Bond about leaving her alive, and he says that he's trained to eliminate professionals, and she was not a professional, and suspects there's something more going on. Bond goes off to the safe house where they're keeping Kozlov for a big meeting, where Kozlov explains that Pushkin plans on having American and UK agents eliminated in mass to try to kickstart a nuclear war between the two superpowers. And whenever they leave, an assassin arrives, and he fights off some of the agents, and he abducts Kozlov. And they have a nice little teaser where you think someone's going to get splattered with boiling water, but he misses. But so Kozlov is now back in the hands of the KGB. But Bond suspects there's something more going on here. He knows Pushkin and doesn't believe that this is Pushkin's style. He wouldn't have all these agents eliminated. But M doesn't buy that either and tells him that he can either eliminate Pushkin or he can get 008 to do it. But Bond insists it be him. Then we have a key breakdown of all of his new toys and weapons and a couch that eats a guy. I want that couch.
That is a good couch. And then Q, goes and sits on it.
But Q, they find out that the cello player is Kara Malloy, and she was the sniper. So Bond goes back to the Sympathy to pay her a visit, and he sees that she's actually taken by the KGB and Pushkin, but she forgets her cello case on the bus. So Bond picks it up and he checks it out and finds the gun inside that's loaded with blanks. So he goes to her house and meets her there. And the KGB is following her. And he finds out that it was Kozlov who told her to be the sniper. And that this appears all to be orchestrated by Kozlov to fake a defection. But he doesn't tell her that because she believes that Kozlov is going to come for her. So he poses as a friend of Kozlov's. And they have to escape the KGB. Which they do after a bit of a car chase. And, of course, they have to stop to pick up her real cello along the way, too. Which is good, because they end up sled riding into Austria with the cello case. We meet an arms dealer named Brad Whitaker, who's very upset to hear that Pushkin is canceling their big weapons agreement. Because Pushkin believes that him and Kozlov are up to something, so he's canceling everything. We see Bond has gotten her to Vienna. They're having a nice, fun time. And he tells Saunders to try to find out where Kozlov's money is coming from, because he knows that Kozlov bought her that cello. Meanwhile, Whitaker is talking to the assassin that we met earlier in Kozlov, who are happy and healthy at Whitaker's house. And Whitaker wants the assassin to eliminate Pushkin just to be on the safe side. But Kozlov is sure that his whole scheme worked and the British will take out Pushkin. Bond takes her out to the concert where he meets up with Saunders and everything, and they agree to meet up later that night at the Ferris wheel. Bond makes it there in time, unaware that the assassin is following them. And right after Saunders gives him the information about Whitaker, and then Saunders is taken out by the assassin. And then he finds out that they're going to head off to Whitaker's, him and Kara, where he plans on uniting her with Kozlov. But we jump ahead a little bit, and Bond is following Pushkin around. And he finally corners Pushkin to find out what's going on, and Pushkin tells him that this event, Smit, no, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that second word, that was a Stalin project that he did that's been deactivated for over 20 years. And he knows nothing about what's going on. He's been trying to find Kozlov to arrest him for misappropriating money. And a fight breaks out with the one guard and everything. And Bond has to come to the conclusion here of will he eliminate Pushkin or not. And it's where Bond, as Bond puts it, he's like, for the only way to find out what Kozlov is doing is to eliminate you. So Pushkin's like, then so I must die. So they arrange to fake his death in public. And the assassin almost takes him out, but Bond moves one step faster. And then Bond has to race out of there. And he jumps in this car with these two women who are CIA. We see that while he's meeting them, Kozlov gets a call from somebody. And Bond is returned to Kara, and he tells her the truth. And Kara calls him out on it because she called Kozlov and dosed his drink with knockout juice. And as he's passing out, he's explaining to her that he was the sniper who was supposed to kill her that night. And when he comes to on the plane, Kara tells him that she's sorry and that the two of them are going to work to get out of it. Because as Bond is being turned over to KGB, she is turned over to the KGB because she knows too much. They have to escape, and they get the help of an Afghani fighter who's in there named Sahid, I believe his name was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they escape the KGB prison, but into the arms of the Mujahid. I believe I said this 5 goddamn times last night. Mujahid.
You were practicing.
And they, Saeed's name is Cameron. And that they believe him, but they're not going to help him. They're going to take them to their higher-ups with that information and then figure out what's going on. But Bond is telling them this is a bad idea. Kozlov is about to have this huge arms deal. But we find out that Cameron and all of them are selling opium to Kozlov. And that's what's happening. He's selling the opium to Kozlov. And the Afghans are going to get the diamonds. And Kozlov will take the opium to Whitaker, who will hand over the weapons. I believe that's how that's going to work out. Bond makes his way on the back of the one truck there with a bomb. And then from the truck to the plane, he's going to blow it all up. But it goes all to hell with the big firefight because Kara has led the Mujahid and everyone to battle at the airport. And Bond gets stuck on the plane and he starts taking off. Kara boards it with a jeep and the assassin jumps on. And then there's a big fight because Bond has to deactivate the bomb that he still has not deactivated yet, despite the fact he took the plane. And they nearly get dumped out because she's trying to just shake him off. It's shaking Bond off. He manages to kick him down by cutting off his boot and sending the assassin plummeting.
That was a sweet move.
Yeah, cutting the boot.
Yeah. Instead of trying to fight and everything, he's just like, hey, screw you. Just cut. Bye.
He then deactivates the bomb, but they use the bomb to help the Mujahid escape from the Soviets who are chasing after them in tanks. But then they both realize that she's about to guide them into a cliff wall. And their one fuel tank is leaking fuel. So they're able to safely touch the Jeep down and drive off. they go to Whitaker's, and they're trying to arrest him and Kozlov, but they get in Bond and Whitaker get into a fight, and Whitaker's taken out. Kozlov is, well, he's not arrested. He's probably going to be eliminated by Pushkin. And as the end, they go off. Bond skips out on the next mission to spend some time with Kara, and the movie ends. And I will say this, because I know you haven't seen them. When we get the Golden Knight, you're going to be real fucking confused. Because I was real confused too when I saw Whitaker.
Okay. Believe it or not, we're only a couple months away from that.
2 more months.
Yeah. I was telling you this off camera, and I'm like, it blows my mind. Because it's the same production company, obviously. And how the feel of the film is completely different. Like, the last film with Roger Moore still felt like it was in the 70s. And you had an aging Bond, and they didn't actually capitalize on an aging Bond storyline. This one felt like it hit the 80s stride in filming. You had a different Bond now. You
got a successful Bond. Like, this Bond feels like a spy.
Yeah.
He's constantly lying, constantly deceiving people. Like, even when he's with Kara, who knows his name, he's still being a spy trying to get information out of her.
Right. You know, and it did seem like when there was a slip up, it was like truly a slip up. Nothing like what's the first Bond? Sean Connery. It just seems like he was never thinking.
No.
Like, it was just like, how are you a spy? Roger Moore was...
He felt like he wandered into a room by accident. And
then he had to build off of that. It was like never planned. To where this one's like, I know where I'm going. These are my turns. This is what I have to do. Even when the fake shooting, like, he had that plan so he could identify who the assassin was.
Yeah, where was everyone at? Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, instantly when he shoots, like, he's watching to see anybody in the rafters reacting, and he's seen it. Like, that is a smart move. So he knew he had to get out of there, but still knew that he had to identify the assassin.
Yeah.
So that was like a well-executed plan.
And while he still is, like, womanizing and everything, he's still thinking about the mission first.
Yeah. And those scenes were so small, though. Like, it really wasn't...
It's like he got Kara her own room at the hotel. You think any of the older Bonds would have done that? No. He shows emotion when his friend is killed.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that. He was about to pop those kids with those balloons. He's like, he pulls out a gun in an amusement park. It's, just because he's seen balloons at the scene, like, he was going to go on somebody. I'm like, holy crap, this is actually... But, you know, that's something that, you know, humanizes him. It's like, this was his friend, and he had to, like... Even though they had, like, a bickering back and forth style of friendship, it was like, this is my friend, though. So I get why he was, like, ready to go on a killing streak in an amusement park.
When he showed him, he's still questioning orders, but still going about the mission.
Right. Like, he
didn't want to eliminate Pushkin because he didn't think Pushkin was behind it. Despite
that being his mission to do so.
So he still worked the mission in the way to find out what's going on.
The one thing, you know, instantly, like, obviously Timothy Dalton being younger and maybe more, like, fit, like, you instantly get, like, a nice little action scene at the training facility opening up and, like, him running to the cars, and you get, you know, I don't know if it's because he can move better, obviously, than Roger Moore was, but the editing for the fights were, like, a little bit better, too.
Yeah.
I mean, we seen some bad editings with fight scenes that just look so bad.
Oh dear God, the Connery fights.
Yeah.
Oh.
To where this one actually felt more of a fight. And then as you were talking, now I will say this much: I felt the airport scene towards the end was just like a little bit too long.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I'm not going to hate on it because it was.
They gave Kara stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she knocked out the one guard with the bucket. She's leading people into battle. She's beating the hell out of that one guy who tried sneaking up behind her.
Yeah. Like even the final fight scene, like we were just talking about, like how smart it was for him just to cut his boot because the guy was hanging on to it instead of like trying to kick him and shit like that. And like I said before, like I really can't get over how the same production company with two different Bonds produced two different films that that feel so different. Like they must have heard somebody complain, like big time, and was like, well, okay, let's get more into the '80s action type of Bond films.
Well, Moore said he was too old. Penn said they were all both too old. Well, Connery, I mean. Connery said that.
Sean Connery, yeah.
I don't know why I went to Penn.
Yeah, who are you thinking of? Sean Penn?
Just already trying to forget Connery.
God, that early on in this idea is like going through him, knowing how bad those films were, or how, more importantly, how bad he was as Bond, and then you get the George Lazenby break.
Yeah.
Then
Man with the Golden Gun was still all right.
Yeah. But then like you get the non
Iron ones.
Yeah, no, non-Iron ones when you're like, why can't we get Sean Connery to go away? Damn it. But like, yeah,
the Dalton was such a nice breath of fresh air. In this was
good.
God, he was so good.
Like this was like a relief. Like, obviously, I think at this point, how much have we talked about Bonds overall? Is like it's clear at least right now that we have our picks as Bond films. You have Pierce Brosnan. I have Daniel Craig. And then we sprinkle in how we like these other ones. Like instantly, Timothy Dalton already has the mantle of best Bond to date.
Yeah, to this point in the series, so far, Dalton is.
And this is one film. Like, I mean, George Lazenby. Like, that was a disappointing because you're like, God, that was the break that we needed, and would love to see him excited. But like, we knew in advance that he was not coming back. It was going to be another Sean Connery Bond. I think generally, I think I can speak for both of us, is that we are really excited
for License to Kill.
For License to Kill. Because this one was so different, so much better. And it's not saying like Roger Moore's was a complete failure. It started off good and it just never evolved. And now you have this one, like I said, the last one came out in 85. This is 87. Completely different.
Yeah.
I think the only problem that I overall had with this film, and this is obviously not a big deal, was the airport scene was kind of a little bit longer than I preferred. I think on a serious note, like the only part that I was probably slightly disappointed in was I might have wanted to see it in a little bit more action from the Dalton Bond.
No, there was a lot of action. It's fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I wanted like maybe a little bit more fight scenes with him. Just big improvement. I'm not shying nothing away.
Even the car chase was better here than it had been.
Yeah, it wasn't a car that got cut in half and still kept driving.
Kept going.
Yeah. Another thing too is like the gadgets were minus that one was a little bit more realistic, but entertaining too. Like the car itself was pretty badass.
Yeah. His key fob was really good at all the explosives and everything you can do with it.
Yeah. And of course, like you said, the couch.
Not couch. I want that couch for company.
Go ahead, have a seat. He disappeared. Then Q just sits
on fire.
Yeah. I think like you're seeing this was definitely the step to where Bond has all, because I think Bond was known to being a license to kill and having the gadgets to go with it, and I think this is really the first one where those gadgets are not actually cartoonish. Like Roger Moore, some of his stuff was like far-fetched.
Oh yeah.
Did Sean Connery have any gadgets per se?
Yeah, I think so. I just can't remember right
Yeah,
now.
well, nobody wants
He
to
had the
remember.
jetpack.
Didn't he also have the chopper?
Yes.
Oh,
The suitcase chopper.
yeah. Okay. We'll keep trying to blur that stuff out.
Yeah.
Great introduction to a new Bond. What are your grades?
B plus.
B plus.
Mhm.
I'm actually going with that as well. I'm going with a B plus. Like I says, the action was better, the editing was better, the different style in Bonds where he was a spy and he didn't put himself in. Yeah, he was still a womanizer because I still think that's going to be that's a Bond trait
Yeah.
throughout. But how you manage
He
it,
wasn't. I mean, there was one part where he tugged up the woman's shirt and everything, but he wasn't abusive like Connery and later day Moore was.
yeah, and not only that, it didn't, like you said, it didn't deter him from the mission. Like
Yeah.
Sean Connery's Bond knew that if he was going to get seduced by women, they were bad women. They were reason why he was in his mission, and he still went for it.
He was going after women and accidentally falling into missions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm so excited those days are behind us. But yeah, we're both are giving it a B, and I think I can at least speak for us and say we are excited for the next film.
Yeah. If anything, it's one step closer to Brosnan.
And I know my guy's still far away, but at least I think we're in a good time now.
It's looking like we're gonna hit a good stretch.
Yeah, so it makes this long ass idea that this genius came up with a little bit more entertaining now because it seems like the bad is behind us.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it.
At least until Casino Royale.
What? Really?
You heard me.
Bastard! Oh my, we're gonna be fighting. The next ones are gonna be entertaining, but
I will win.
but we're looking forward to the 1989 License to Kill. Until next time, bye
Bye-bye.
bye.